Hello, everyone, and welcome to Conversations in Horror, the podcast. I'm your host, Kevin Powers, and I am the owner-operator of Something Wicked Entertainment and Events, and I will welcome you to my program in which I sit down with my special guest and we discuss an individual horror film. Now, that horror film could be from any decade, any subgenre, but we sit down, discuss, have a conversation, do our little critique and analysis of the film so that you get a clear picture of what it is that film brings to the horror audience. Now, sometimes these films can be amazing films, and sometimes they're not so amazing, or they might be sequel number 10 in some franchise, but we kind of delve into a little bit of everything so that you never know what you're going to get from episode to episode. This being said, what we've been doing this year is we've been kind of delving into a lot of more modern films. We did not do that the first 2 years of our program, but we have been delving into a lot of modern films, which is how we get to our discussion today, which is on Backrooms from 2026. And to discuss this modern day horror film, I have brought on Mr. Philip Ray, my esteemed colleague, to discuss this film. Thank you
for having me.
Thank you for joining us. Now, for everyone listening, this is a current film as of this recording, still playing at the theater, and we do hope that you go out there and check it out if you haven't already. But I will warn you that we may well have a lot of spoilers for this film, so if you have not seen this film and you do want to see this film spoiler-free, please stop this episode and come back after you have seen the film. Otherwise, you're going to enjoy this conversation because we're going to get into a lot of different things about this. At least I hope. So, Philip, since we both just saw this film at the theater, what was your experience and what was the kind of the general concession that you had for the film?
So with Backrooms, it was very much a thing where when it was announced, because for our listeners who may not be familiar, Backrooms is based on a creepypasta online about the Backrooms, which is basically the concept of this basically slightly interdimensional place where basically the idea is that it looks like a very generic office space, but the idea is that, at any point you can you can glitch into this kind of place that's this never-ending maze of this office, like kind of office space, kind of not. They say perfectly in the film, it's like someone told you to draw a dog from memory, but you don't fully remember how to draw a dog. And so that was there was a YouTube series actually done by the director of this film, Kane Parson. And I am familiar enough with the Backrooms, but I had not watched all of the YouTube series and stuff before watching this movie. But I wanted to see it because, I'm familiar enough with it and, I wanted to give it a shot, and I loved it. I really enjoyed this movie. It definitely, it made me want to go back to watch a lot of the YouTube videos and stuff. But that being said, I think even if you have not seen any of the YouTube videos and stuff, I don't think you'll be too lost. I think there's some stuff near the end that may confuse you a little bit, but also I think if you watch any horror movies and stuff, or really any kind of sci-fi-ish movies, I think that stuff will also, will not confuse you too much. But yeah, that was my general thoughts of the movie.
I think I only saw the movie for two reasons. I think one, because you convinced me to go see it, and I am a huge fan of Chiwetel Ejiofor, and so I saw it because of him. But otherwise, I hate to say this, but the trailer did not interest me at all in the movie. It was really the star attached to it that made me want to watch it. This is not the same as like when I saw the trailer for Obsession and I had to go out and see that. I only saw the trailer for Backrooms once. It didn't interest me at all. And then I heard from you that you really enjoyed it. And, sometimes when you really enjoy a movie, I actually take that into consideration because usually it's really a good movie if you tell me it's a good movie. Whereas sometimes I tell you certain movies are good and you think they're horrible. That's because I have a horrible sense of what I think is good because I've watched way too many damn movies. And anyone listening to the program will automatically know that is absolutely true. So I trust your judgment when it comes to movies I have have no interest in whether or not I go see them or not. And I was really happy I went to go see this film. I think it was a well done story. I think I think the thing that caught my eye the most with this film is I love the fucking production design for this film and the art direction. I think was absolutely fabulous. I think it was undeniably one of the best horror films in terms of that quality when I saw it. Like you're saying, it may look like Office Space rooms in the back rooms area, but it's just slightly off in almost every shot that you're given, and it throws you off as an audience member, and it makes it creepy when the film itself is not a slasher horror film where you're having jump scares every 5 seconds. And I think that's why I enjoyed it. It kept me on the edge without me actually realizing I was on the edge because the kind of the uneasiness was so subtle, so subtle.
Oh yeah, no, this is definitely one of those movies that does not jump scare you.
Yes.
If you're expecting a jump scare, you're not going to. Again, for me, a lot of the movie again is just you just feel very unsettled. You're just very unsettled because you don't know what's going on and you don't know where it's going to be and stuff. So it just kind of makes it interesting. So for me, the best part of the movie is kind of where it very much simulates the YouTube series because the YouTube series a lot of the times it's told through a first person camcorder and stuff. So you have that graininess and stuff. And there's a moment in this movie because the setting's around the same time. It's kind of in the 90s and stuff. So there's a moment where the main character picks up, goes through with the camcorder and stuff, and you get that first person. And for me, that was the most. There's three times in the movie you get that kind of view, and those were for me the most gripping parts of the movie because you're just like you don't know when something's going to jump out again, nothing ever does, but you're always like, is something going to jump out? What's going on? Like the more and more the movie goes on and stuff, you're just gripped in because you don't know what's going to happen, and it's done really, really well with that.
Yeah, I like the yeah, I will say that I was not always in tune with some of the more found footage aspects of the film, but I was thank God it wasn't that often. But what I did love about this film is that the way the way the pacing is and the way it kind of takes you as an audience member is the same way I had the feeling for when I saw It Follows. It has this very slow melodic type of pacing and atmosphere that kind of drags you in. With difference is for this film, those scenes that you're talking about, where it was the first person with the camcorder sequences, which are few and far between, I think are effective because it kind of amps up that pacing for those few moments, and it actually works because of the fact that you're seeing what unfolds not only from the main character's perspective, but by the people he's brought into this Backrooms, who are not always trusting of Chewie Ejiofor's motives for bringing them down there. And I think that's part of what keeps those sequences so gripping, is because there's a sense of distrust between the characters at that moment. Whereas before, the first half of that movie, they have nothing but trust for his character because he's their boss. So I think that that's what works in the film's favor.
Yeah, no, I agree. It definitely, um, again, it's just such a good sequence and stuff. And the big thing about this movie too, is that this movie is not um, it is not, it is a horror movie, but a lot of the time it's a character piece between, with Edgerton and then there's also it's not shown a lot in the trailer. It's funny, it's because in the a lot of the posters and a lot of the marketing and stuff, even though Chitwell is like the one who's like the ideally the main character, a lot of the marketing is not showing him, it's showing the other character in the movie. I'm gonna butcher her
Mary,
name.
oh,
Uh
Mary character. I don't know whether actually how to pronounce her real name.
I'll say a character name. Well, the her the therapist, Dr. Mary Klein. She's in all the trailers, which is funny because she doesn't really become the main character to halfway through the story. Most of the half of the time it's is Chilwell, and so it's funny the fact that the marketing doesn't show him off a lot. But but yeah, I did find, but yeah, it's mostly for both of them. It's about a character study and stuff with Chilwell's character Clark about being like a feared architect who's now running this really cheap furniture store and stuff, and then with Mary, who is the therapist, but also dealing with her own past with her mom and stuff. Again, it's really mostly like a character piece, which you definitely feel that by the third act and stuff. By the third act, it's very obvious this is more of a character piece than just a stereotypical horror movie. Which I enjoy. I do say you need to when you go into the back rooms, you need to have that kind of mentality because if you're expecting a stereotypical like horror movie and stuff. You're not going to get that here. So I can see people be disappointed if you have that mindset. But if you go in open-minded of like this is kind of a psychological, more of a character study horror movie, I think you'll really enjoy this.
I think the trailer. I don't know. I have to ask you because the trailer didn't do much for me. If the trailer sold the concept to you enough before all the hype of the movie to go see the movie. Now there's a difference now because now that it's a hugely successful movie, people are now realizing it's a hugely successful movie. But those early trailers that didn't tell you much of what you were going to go see, was it selling you as a horror movie, a psychological film, or what was it showing you? Because I'm
Uh,
curious. Because like I said, the when I saw it, I mean, the trailer didn't do much for me. It's not like I was interested or not. I kind of went there for two reasons. Because Chewy Ejiofor, and it was A24, and I usually can trust A24 with some really screwed up type of stories. So I'm always good with those type of stories. Me, we've talked about A24 projects before in the past on this program, and you know how much I love the A24. So that's a brand that I would go see a movie for.
yeah, for me, it's like it didn't. I think it sold enough for me because again, for me, I knew it was going to be mostly a again, I knew enough of the back rooms and stuff. I knew it wasn't. I mean, again, having seen the stuff, I knew it wasn't going to be like a big like raw or something, coming. Like there is a creature in the movie and stuff that you kind of see a little bit about, but it's not, it's not like Alien. It's not like that where I knew there was some creature that's always because sometimes in those back rooms and stuff, there you never even see a creature sometimes. The most famous ones do have a creature, so I knew there was probably going to be something eventually, but I never got that sense of like, oh, there's going to be a creature this entire time, and I didn't really feel that way. So I mean I knew I it didn't the concept wasn't undersold to me with that. So
So to be honest with you, had the trailer not had the found footage type of mentality and that, I would have guessed that this more had something to do with aliens and sci-fi in that manner. But because it was like that found footage type of aesthetic in the trailer, I automatically kind of pushed towards a more horror type of film. If they hadn't done that, if that footage hadn't been in there, I definitely would have thought of this as there's some type of sci-fi element, could more so than a horror element. I mean, when there's the big reveal on what's going on in the third act, it's still a psychological thing that no one seems to know anything about. But I think that's what helps the film. Um, I would
yeah.
hate to have seen like something completely concrete explanation. And there is a huge explanation in the third act. In my opinion, without the explanation in the third act, I don't think the rest of the film wouldn't be nearly as powerful because it makes you want to go back and rewatch it and think of it in a different light once you understand what's possibly going on. Not 100% what is going on, what is possibly going on.
Yeah, because the movie doesn't fully. Again, this movie, if people are expecting a full-on like explanation of what's going on, you're not going to get that. It doesn't really. They don't really try to explain every. Like you don't get a giant lore dump of what's going on and stuff. You kind of have to make your own assumptions to a point about what's going on. Uh, if you're not fully like deep in the Backrooms lore and stuff, and I think that's fine personally because I think you get a lot of because like I think there's a lot of with the Backrooms itself there is a lot of um kind of there's two ways to kind of see a little bit about it. A lot of the Backrooms for me I viewed a lot of it's a combination of AI a little bit of like as you see kind of some of the creatures the characters encounter and stuff, and even again the rooms themselves. There's a little bit of that AI-ness of it, of like oh it's a chair, but it's not really a chair, or like you'll see stuff like oh I recognize. A lot of people have seen like the AI. A lot of times now, listeners, you've seen like the AI slop stuff. That's just like it looks real, but there's something off about it, either be it people or be it, objects and stuff. Like everyone makes fun about like, oh, you've got AI does a person, but like they've got an extra finger and stuff. A lot of the Backrooms is kind of like that. So I saw a little bit about talking about AI a little bit with it, but also it's a whole thing about the past and because both the characters have some trauma in their past they're trying to get over, and the Backrooms kind of serves as that pseudoness of it, of the familiarity of the past, but something's a little off with it. So again, I think that's where a lot of psychological stuff comes into. But yeah, I was okay with them not going fully deep into an explanation with all of it because I think that kind of. I mean, I've said this before on the podcast and stuff. I think sometimes when you get an over explanation of what's going on, I think you lose a lot of mystique of everything.
So it's interesting that you want to bring, and I'm going to say this, and don't think me, bad when I say this, but it's interesting that you bring up AI when talking about this because I don't really see that as much as I see the fact that it's about, it kind of delves into people's past and the echoes of what people believe their past was like. And so since they don't always have a clearer picture, what they see in the back rooms is not always clear. It's always screwed up because our memories have a place of not being completely honest with themselves. And we believe what we want to believe, especially in Clark's situation. He vocally has problems with his past. It says that he remembers stuff differently than his wife does remember stuff. And so that's he's haunted by that. And it's the same with the Mary character that I saw with her past because she's remembering stuff when she was a child. But I see that people nowadays, because AI seems to be on everyone's brain pan, that I can see where people are seeing that in the film, but I don't see enough evidence in this film to warrant making that connection. I think that that's a part of the connection that people are making because AI is on the topic of just about everything nowadays, but not something that the film itself is talking about.
Yeah.
So I was interesting that you break. I'm just saying that was interesting that you brought that up because that's how I was seeing the film. Because I see everybody out there trying to bring the conversation of AI into a lot of stuff that doesn't need to be there unless it's actually warranted. But it's something that people see and stuff nowadays because a lot of people just can't help it. I don't know. You're just the first person I've heard say it. So for this film, and so I was very curious about that.
Yeah. No. Yeah. I mean, again, to me, it's that's kind of yeah. I mean, I can't. I think I can't remember. I feel like there is some. It might have been the director himself said something related to AI at some point, but I also could be wrong. Um, but either way, But yeah, no, I mean, I get that from your perspective too. With that, I don't know. We won't go too much into the details of it, but I'm kind of curious. What is your opinion of the creature in this movie?
So, the elements of the you say the creatures slash of the inhabit. I'm gonna call them the inhabitants of the back rooms. Because at first, I it took me a while because in the very first half of the film they do that commercial, which I thought was ludicrous and dumb. At first, it wasn't until I seen Clark's echo of that creature, that character that he played in the back rooms, that I start to see all of the stuff kind of click. This is why I say it's all like he hated doing that commercial. Everything doesn't work. He doesn't even like his position there where he works at. He's like building with a lot of pressure and stuff that he's actually had to do. And then what is manifested in the back rooms is this weird echo of his own character that he thinks he can control, but because he can't seem to control anything in his life to a certain degree, it kind of backfires on him. I like the ideal of the inhabitants of the back rooms being an echo or a representation of what each of the characters bring to this otherworldly place. When you get to the explanation of some of this, the very third act, it kind of makes sense, despite the fact it doesn't really make sense to have an office space. I think the office space just is a cool freaking design location. Everything's empty, but there's all these great angles everywhere, as though it's representing that our memory, our lives has a lot of different curves, a lot of different angles, and a lot of different ways to access different memories, different emotions, and different things like that. So I really liked that aspect of the film and the design aspect of how it works within the thing, so that when Clark and Mary are coming across these inhabitants of the back rooms, it all makes sense to me because they're all like the parts of the individual people that in that walk into this back rooms, or are the back rooms are created as a means to function for that person, because the other two characters who I can't remember, his coworkers who enter the back rooms, we don't actually see or anything that is representation of them in the back rooms. It is more or less Clark's, unless you just saw something I didn't see. Now, you very well could be. I don't know. We don't get it.
No, I think you're right. A lot again, the most of the story is Clark's story and
Mhm.
stuff. Because yeah, a lot of things with the back rooms and stuff is you as soon as I was reading more about it after the movie and stuff. One thing the back rooms kind of theoretically does is when you enter it, and automatically someone can compare it to like it does the MRI kind of scan of your body and stuff, and so that's why in your mind, which is why, there's certain characters that pop up. And actually, when I read this, I was like, oh, that makes sense.
Mhm.
There was trying not to go into too much of spoilers, but the scene at the table with
Mhm.
certain other characters, at least one of those characters was supposed to represent uh Clark's wife.
Yeah, yeah.
And I did not think about that at the time, but now I'm like, as soon as I read, I'm like, oh, that makes sense. Like that makes total sense. And that's why, at the end when they show with Mary's character, the last scene in the movie, they show something with Mary that also again kind of puts a big point about that of like
Mhm.
a lot of times the back rooms is kind of I'm trying to think of
The
another
comparison.
movie comparison.
It's hard.
But yeah, but it's like, it's basically the backrooms kind of caters towards a lot of times the first the everyone who enters there, their experiences are a little different. They see things a little differently. So, my back room may look different than your back room. It's the idea and stuff. Now sometimes, some characters like the coworkers and stuff, they're mostly seeing the backrooms probably from Clark's perspective, less than their own individual backrooms. But it's still, again, it's done very but no, I think it's done very well. With the creature, I will say I understand what it represents. And I know that did get physically. They got Robert. I forgot what his last name is, or not. I can't. I'm gonna butcher it. He's the same actor who ended up being the body double for the creature in Alien Romulus, and they apparently used him again for here. I will say, in Alien Romulus, it looked great. In this, I will say I didn't even realize that was a person because it does look. I will say that's where the CG looks a little bad in my opinion. The 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 that kind of entity didn't look the best for me. I understand what it was going for. I will say the effect itself did not look the best for me.
Interesting. I didn't have a problem with it. Because because from my perspective, I understand that they didn't. All the entities in the back rooms all have some quality that makes them seem artificial.
Yeah.
And because it's more or less a representation of Clark when he was in that pirate costume to do the freaking commercial, I thought it needed to be even more artificial than, say, the stuff at the very end, which are representation of Mary's old home. Which I thought was really cool, the way they kind of integrated everything into the floor. Every time they showed it, it would be completely different. Some of the stuff that they did with hers was really visually cool, but we didn't see any individual characters from her. I can't remember now. I'm trying to remember because it was so short that her sequence was at the very end. It was just really cool the way that they ended the movie with that.
Yeah.
Um, so this is definitely a movie that I will enjoy rewatching again. Because of the way that it is crafted. It's not one of those films where I say, okay, it's not like me watching Scream 7 or Scream 4 or Scream 5 and 6, where I've only ever seen them once. I say, okay, I saw it. I don't ever need to watch it again unless we do an episode on the podcast. Backrooms is a movie I will go back to and reward myself with another watch, just like I will when I go back and rewatch Obsession.
Yeah, no, I agree. It is this is definitely a movie you could rewatch a couple times to really get the ideas of everything that's going on. And again, it does a good job. A lot of times with this stuff too, you always have to wonder, is it doing, when you do this stuff, does it make you want to relook at the source material? When you do stuff with a book, when you get
Mhm.
adaptation with a book, or you get adaptation with a video game, it's like, does it make you want to go back to the original source material and look more into it? And this movie does. This movie definitely makes you want to go back and kind of look more with the source material and stuff.
So I am on the fence with that. I want to see the other stuff that came before this because I was not familiar with anything before I saw this film. Um, but I am deciding whether or not I go watch that stuff before or after I watch this film again because I really want to watch the film again. I haven't gone to the movie to see it. I was going to like wait for it to stream, but the movie's such a fucking huge hit. It's still at the theater making money.
Yeah.
So it's one of those things where I might be waiting like a couple more months before I actually go back to watch the actual original because I want to rewatch this one again before I get my ideals clouded by what the original concepts we're trying to do. It's kind of like the reason why I've only like I saw Trick or Treat 3 times before I ever went back to watch the original short film. I didn't want the watching the short film to kind of cloud my judgment of that. And the same with I think it was Lights Out, the shorts for that one. I don't want to like the movie is so good that sometimes the shorts are just like a concept of what they want to do, and so I don't want to ruin the great movie that it is by watching just a concept. But I've heard a lot of great things about the shorts with this one, which is not usual with a lot of these properties. This one was its own separate thing before it ever became a feature film, which is not always the case. Usually it's like a concept short film or it's a short film that gets expanded. But this one, it's a whole universe of other films So like this is like they could do sequels to this that has nothing to do with this film because they got so much material and concepts to work with, which is what I like. I think that's a great. I think this is probably something that would work better as a sequel than most other horror films that I've seen this entire year.
Yeah. And I think, and we probably will get, I know Kane Parson has talked about wanting to continue on the series. Definitely with how much money it made, uh, it definitely will probably get a sequel at this point. And again, it's like, and with this and Obsession, again, this both came around the same time. Both movies, you're seeing these young YouTube people, making these hit movies and stuff, and it's very much like it's great to see that. King Parsons become the youngest director. Right now, he's the youngest director in film history to debut at number one, in the box office. So it's like good for him. Like it's always nice to see young. It's always nice to see like, and that's another reason I want to see this is to once I found out it was being directed by the guy who did the short YouTube shorts and stuff. It's like it's always good to sometimes you need to support the young talent, the not the big names and stuff because that's how they become the bigger names later.
Hmm. Yeah, I don't know. I just go see movies for who doesn't matter to me who directs them. Uh, sometimes I do go see movies based on the director, but I've never seen a movie based on the concept of whether or not they were a YouTuber or not. I could give two shits about that. Just to be honest with you, I know that's a good talking point for this year because of Iron Lung, which I still have yet to see. Actually, I've not seen that one. Did you see that one?
That one I unfortunately did not see.
Okay, I didn't see that. I just dawned on me. I still haven't seen that one. But we both saw Obsession. We both saw this one. So and none of them. The reason why I wanted to see the film is because they were dubbed by some YouTuber. To be honest with you, it would be about for me. It's the same conversation that we have when a film composer decides they're going to be a director and direct a movie. I really don't care as long as they do a good job with the material that they're doing. Pretty much, that's my opinion on it. Um, and I hope that that's still, in general, the reason why most people go out there to support these movies. I'm hoping that the reason why people are not going to go see this movie is because it's made by a YouTuber. But I do know that he has a huge following because of all of the stuff that he's done before, which is always good to hear. Because as an independent filmmaker myself, who has worked on many different independent web series and shorts that have gone on longer than God's green earth that have never been expanded to feature films, it is always a good success with someone's project that is a love letter to whatever they're doing finally sees the light of day for a bigger audience. I've seen plenty of projects out there that have suffered from just being on YouTube and never getting the audience that they deserve. So A24, I have to put it to them. They have a lot of trust in a lot of great new talent out there, and I hope they continue to do so. But it just dawned on me that I don't think A24 has ever done a sequel to anything, so that might be interesting. I was gonna say, I don't remember if they've ever done a sequel to anything, but maybe this is the time for them to change that.
Yeah, we'll see. Again, because we made a whole bunch of money.
I think usually they decide to do movies based on the talent or concept because they have done some great movies with some great new talent out there. And then they continue to foster that talent on subsequent films, which is one of the things I hope continues with this director here. I can't remember if he's on another project offhand. Do you remember if he
Who
has?
Kane Parson?
Yeah.
Currently no. He's not currently on
Okay.
anything right
Yes.
now.
So that is a surprise that no one's like gobbled this guy up to do another project, or at least A24 is talking with him again for a new project. That would be
Yeah.
cool. So,
Right now, he's been talked about again doing continuing on with the Backrooms, either doing a sequel movie or making it a TV show. But that's been about it. Other than that, he hasn't been talked about doing anything else that isn't Backrooms.
good, because that means he's not rushing into it. Some of these directors out there, I think, rush into doing a big name project. I think there's a lot of upcoming projects that I just don't think needed to be done by these young great talents. It's good that he's going to take his time to do it. Hopefully, he doesn't take too much time though. We no longer have this atmosphere in the horror genre with these directors who kind of become these horror mainstays. I don't even think Ari Aster is really considered a horror director as much as what he's done in the genre so far. And Krieger is probably going to be somewhere up there if he continues to do these kind of horror things. I'm trying to think of any other director out there who's kind of getting that same type of accolades by doing nothing but horror. But I don't think they want to be called or labeled a horror director like the old school John Carpenters, Wes Cravens, and Toby Hoopers of the day. So
I mean, Jordan Peele, but as we discussed on a previous episode, who knows when or if he'll be able to get another movie out.
I don't think he has a problem getting movies out. I think he's just taking his time with his late one because, like a lot of directors who just do boom, movie after movie after movie, you got to take a break. Peter Jackson took a huge freaking break in between Lord of the Rings movies. It's like, God, just take up 10 years of his life just to do 3 movies. I think he's 20 years now with the freaking Hobbit movies, and he's still associated with them
Yeah.
in some form or capacity. I would think that he would he'd be doing something different, and he has. Documentaries is where he went to. So yeah, that's the thing. Even James Cameron has done a concert movie with Billie Eilish just to get away from doing Avatar movies. So
Yeah.
but no, that's what I have to say. I really do enjoy this movie. I think the cast was great. I think the cast is what sold it for me, really. I think even though the 2 co-workers don't get enough screen time because obvious reasons, I think the 2 main casts are just freaking phenomenal in the movie. So
Yeah, I love, I mean, Chitwell is always good in any movies, and again with the Mary character, I was a little more because she's not in the movie as much. I she was okay for me. I kind of wish they did a little bit more with her. I understood by the end of the movie, I understood what they were going with. I thought that, and it's just kind of hard because of the Clark character had so much to do, had so much more to do and stuff. That's why I enjoyed him more versus Mary, who really doesn't get a spotlight until halfway through the movie. And so by the time you get to the end there and stuff, which again I knew they were trying to do with her, I still didn't find her story as interesting. But
that's why we do rewatches. All right. So, we managed not to go into too much detail or spoiler territories with this film, which I was actually a little surprised on, to be honest with you. But is there anything else that you would like to touch upon on this film?
not really. Again, I think this is very much if you want. I think this is again a movie that I would say even if you again have not seen the movie before, if you have not seen anything with the Backrooms and stuff, I think this is still worth seeing.
Mhm.
And we didn't talk about actually the last thing I'll talk about, which is great, is the fact they did a lot of this set in person. They actually did not green screen this. They actually went and built most of the set and stuff. Is great. I think that's another reason why it works. I think it works so well is because almost all of it was physical and stuff. I think again I'm always a proponent of st doing stuff actually physical versus just doing a green screen. You can tell the difference.
Hmm. Well, I hate to say this, but this would be a much easier film to do that with, considering that most of the hallways in the back rooms are empty.
Yeah.
It's really, I would love to have been on the set for this one. Like, kind of like the way they shot the movie Cube, if you are familiar with that, where the whole movie was really one cube that they kept redressing for each of the times that the characters entered into a new cube. They just redressed the set and turned it and stuff. I would believe that this film probably had a very similar progression where they kept redressing the same sets over and over to look like different parts of the back rooms to make it much more interesting. And I bet you they had a blast doing that.
Oh yeah, it was over 30 square feet. Uh, it was built around 4 sound stages,
Yeah.
and yeah, apparently people got a lot of the crew and cast got lost a lot on set.
Dude, yeah, I could see that. I got
Yeah,
lost. I got lost personally when I was on the set of Insurgent. Because in that one area they had like 10 different sets all, and you could lose your way if you go through one door. You're on a different set everywhere. I was like, dude, I'm just doing my job in here. I'm gonna let the real people figure out which room is which for that damn movie. But this one here, oh yeah, I bet you they had a blast doing this film right here, dude. I really do. I bet, yeah. Production wise, I see this movie being an extremely fun movie to have made. Probably not so much for Ejiofor, who had to go through some psychological changes in this movie because he does make the most. Or has the most psychological changes, especially in terms of Mary. Mary's very internal with a lot of hers, and Ejiofor's Clark is very external, which is probably why you don't enjoy her character nearly as much. But I think upon the rewatch, and this is why I want to rewatch it again. I want to really get into the nuances of the film because I think that's what will reward rewatches for this film. Those little nuances that the director put in there.
yeah.
So, with that, I do want to thank you, Philip, for discussing Backrooms 2026 with me. And also bringing it up to be done on the show. Without your input on that, we probably would have never done an episode on Backrooms. But as we delve more into more modern films, this actually helps us to kind of see where modern day filmmakers are going with the stories they are telling. And that is a great way to kind of segue between the older stuff that we've been doing and the newer stuff that we are now doing. So I do want to thank you for bringing that on. For everyone else out there, what we love to do is we love to rate the movies between 1 and 5, 1 being poor, 5 being absolutely amazing. But we like to add on a little something by attributing that rating to a particular object, quote, or saying. What is your rating, Philip, and what object, quote, or saying do you attribute to your rating for this movie?
I would give Backrooms 4 out of 5. Uh, horrible dressed pirates out of 5.
Oh Jesus. Mine is gonna be a little bit more since we didn't mention this at all in the movie, I'm gonna mention it as what I'm gonna rate it as. I'm gonna give it 4 too, but I'm gonna give it 4 stop signs in the middle of the back rooms because that is like the cornerstone of how you find your way around in this whole area is when the characters see the stop sign, which is not exactly stop sign in the right 100% manner. But when you watch the film, and you'll know what I'm talking about, guys, if you have seen the film, you will know what I'm talking about. But that's what I'm going to give it. I was going to go a little bit further with 4.5 stars, but I was like, I don't know. I need to rewatch it again. But I guarantee you, when I do rewatch it, it will probably go up more because I want to see those nuances in play at the beginning in order to justify what I've said at the end. So, with that, I do hope you enjoyed this conversation about Backrooms 2026. Please make sure to check it out because it is still at the theaters as we are talking about it, and it'll probably be still at the theaters when we release this episode. Please make sure to check out our previous episodes. We've done a lot of great movies and a lot of great episodes on a lot of great newer movies, so that should be a blessing for you all out there. But we've also focused on a lot of classic films out there and modern day films as well. So check out previous episodes there. Remember, like, follow, share, subscribe. Do that thing you do with your favorite podcast app, Spotify, or YouTube. And make sure to check out our companion podcast, Conversations in Hammer Studio Horrors, which delves into the amazing oeuvre of Hammer Studio films from the 60s, 70s, and 80s. From all of us here, Something Wicked Entertainment, we want to wish you a pleasant day, but be careful when you delve into your own back room. Broken the house. Take 3. Conversations in Horror is a Broken Lighthouse Pictures production, written, produced, and directed by Kevin L. Powers, executive producer Kelly A. Inoka.